Why in Russia they use jet engines to clear the snow, and how does a mirror light up a whole village instead of the sun? Sometimes mankind has crazy, bordering with stupidity ideas, but they work. Today, I have collected 12 such examples for you. Prepare to be left with your mouth open. Protection from tigers. That on your screens are fishermen along the Ganges River wearing masks on the back of their heads. The reason for this will surprise you. They, dear friends, are wary of the tigers that stalk their prey and attack only in the back. However, if there is a mask, they are fooled into thinking they have been seen, so they do not attack. Really a simple and stupid solution at first glance, but it obviously works. So human casualties drop from 60 per year to 29, or double, and those 29 were not wearing masks. The Indian government stepped in and made 2,500 masks and distributed them to the people who share a habitat with the tigers. Apparently, this is the way to survive and coexist with wildlife in these lands, since the government supports it too. Problem with sewerage. Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the inhabitants of a city turned on the water to their toilets at the same time? The sewers would explode, the toilets would start spewing. You get the idea. Well, no one really knows what the consequences would be, except in an African city. In Bulawayo, which is the second largest in Zimbabwe with a population of close to 1 million people, a problem of sewer blockages has started to grow. They were already old, and the city overcrowded for their capacity, so the smell of feces was constantly wafting in. But the mayor found a simple solution: a synchronized release of toilets by the entire population to flush the system. So on September 24th, at 7:30, all residents had to flush their toilets for an hour. The entire procedure was to be repeated every Monday and Wednesday to keep the sewers from running dry and clogging. As much as people mocked him for the idea being super dumb, it worked. The city relaxed. But I think the mayor needs to find a more permanent solution. Apple and cooling. You know I'm an Apple fan, and I'm interested in their history as a company. A while back, I came across an article that, with the sale of one of their first computers, the Apple III, buyers were also getting a strange tip. It was that if the machine locks up, you should lift it 5 to 6 inches off the desk and let it fall. I had my doubts, checked things out, and it actually turned out to be true. There are articles from 1994. Apple support has actually given advice to drop your $10,000 computer from a height or hit it hard. However, the reason that Steve Jobs refused to put in fans because they were noisy and so their processors overheated is only partially true. When you drop your computer from a height or shake it, you clear the oxidation of the connectors. Apple have literally legitimized banging on machinery to fix the problem. Now, I understand why our grandfathers banged on old TVs. Household appliances. There's no way you haven't struggled with tangled shoelaces, bottoms, or even sandals where you have to be super careful not to break. Turns out the solution is super simple, folks. Before trying on any knot, dip your hands in flour, cornstarch, or baby powder. Turns out this does a great job and can easily free otherwise impossible knots. Another problem whose solution I discovered recently is cutting cheese, cakes, and soft products in general without dirtying a knife. Folks, it's easier with dental floss. Just make sure it's not minty so it doesn't ruin the taste of the food, and you'll feel the advantage over knives, and you won't have to wash them afterwards, which is terribly annoying, especially after the cheese. Smelly feet. One of the most embarrassing situations a person gets into is being invited to visit knowing that their feet smell. It turns out that there is a very simple solution to this problem. It is to put your smelly shoes in an envelope and then in the freezer overnight. This will destroy most of the bacteria and fungi causing the bad odors. Reputable scientific sites confirm that at -15 degrees, most odors should disappear. But this is not a permanent solution, and so you may damage your shoes, so be careful. An awful lot of people on the internet have done this experiment and claim it works. If you're going to try it, be sure to bag them and don't put them near food. You can share in the comments if this works, so people watching the video know. PlayStation supercomputer. In 2010, the USAF needed a supercomputer, But the protracted wars drained the budget and denied them one. Guess what the clever ITs did to the service? They bought 1,160 PlayStation 3s, strung them together into a system, and created the 33rd most powerful computer in the world at the time. The whole thing cost $2 million, or only 1/10 the price of a supercomputer that would have done more or less the same job. The computing power of the PlayStation at the time was not small at all for its price, and scientists proved it. The US Air Force then auctioned off these PlayStations on the internet, and it is now a collector's item. Mirror instead of sun. A picturesque Italian village called Viganella suffers from an unusual problem. Because it is located deep in a valley, the sun does not shine on it in winter. People, for 3 months of the year, not even a single ray of sunshine caresses the people there. Super depression. However, years ago, an engineer comes and says he can't move the mountain, but he can put a giant mirror and reflect the sun rays to make people happy. Obviously a stupid, even insane idea, but look what happens. He did indeed install a 37-square mirror installation at a cost of 100,000 euros to direct the rays and brighten various parts of the village. Thus, the square and the facades of the people enjoy the sun again even in winter. Yes, it's not that strong, but people still appreciate it and enjoy it. This is what the beam looks like directed from above. The seemingly silly idea was copied from the Norwegians in 2013. There in the north, in a village, they had no sun for 6 months, so they installed a bigger installation with a more powerful beam that even warmed the people standing in the square. Kindling for fire. Imagine a situation. You are lost in the forest and it gets dark. It gets cold and you need to make a fire. Normally, we would rush out to find kindling, but did you know that one type of food can do the job? It's chips. If you carry a packet in your rucksack, you should know that it burns much better than some sticks and kindling. Now, here comes the dilemma of whether to eat it because you're smooth or light it on fire. But every situation is different. Let's give it a try and see if it works. It's good to be aware that thanks to fat and carb, almost all types of snacks burn a little or a lot. Really a seemingly stupid idea that works though. So next time you go hiking, bring a small packet. You never know. It will be better for your body to light it than eat it. Testing of clothes. This shop has installed a special winter simulator to test whether the clothes they sell around it protect you well as advertised. The owner is a genius. He has done such a clever marketing trick that it has earned him some solid money. It's just a chamber with a compressor from a more serious refrigerator and powerful fans. People put on the clothes they want to buy, and instead of looking in the fitting room mirror, they run the machine and test to see if it will protect them well against the cold. The temperature is just below freezing and can mimic a strong wind. I don't know why more shops don't do this sort of thing. We'll definitely be getting a more realistic view. Ants instead of stitches. When we get a deep wound, we usually go to the hospital to get stitches or a cast. But in the past, as you can imagine, there were no such extras. A medical document from the 6th century in India described a procedure on how to use a special kind of ant for the same purpose. The bite of the red fire ants is so strong that it could easily do the work of stitching. The technique is used to this day in parts of Africa and India. The ant is held by the body, and its jaws are positioned on the wound. When the insect bites and constricts the wound, its body is torn off and only the head with clenched jaws remains. Imagine it as a living stapler. Once bitten, there is no letting go. Other types of ants are also used, so be aware if you find yourself in a similar situation. Blue light at stations. After 2000 in Japan, the rise in suicides at train stations was already frightening. Despite all the restrictions, the authorities saw themselves in a miracle, didn't know what to do anymore, and then resorted to an interesting solution. They changed the lights from white to blue at the stations. This immediately gave encouraging results, a 9% drop in a few months. The English adapted the idea and put similar lamps at stations and airports. They also saw a visible drop in vandalism, theft, and even pollution. But why does it work like this? Why does blue light affect people this way? Psychologists give an explanation. They say that blue light affects mood and makes people feel more relaxed. Another reason is that blue is associated with police and authority, separately giving the suggestion that someone is watching them. This makes it less likely to commit a crime. Overall, there is a science behind the blue light. Again, a simple solution that works. Russia and snowplows. This is how they clear the tracks of snow in Canada, and this is how they do it in Russia, with jet engines. The Russian stuff is, as usual, a bit more rustic, primal, and less energy efficient, but always spectacular. They take jet engines from old planes and put them on trucks to work the roads. The idea is not new, as you can see from the footage. It was used in the 1940s in other countries. People back in the day figured that the jet, combined with US 500-degree temperatures, handled snow quickly, but also guzzled fuel. That's why today, jet snowplows are counted on fingers, but can still be seen at airports where they even de-ice airplanes. Some of these machines are really scary looking. Even if it's a cruel overkill from any point of view, you have to admit it works. Traditional snowplows take hours to clear. These jet ones sure are faster though. That was all for today, folks. If you liked the video, give me a mighty thumbs up. And if you want to help me keep making content like this,